What is up, Weekenders? I'm Corbin and welcome to my channel, and today we have some stuff to address on the back of my Bronco. And if you don't know, I have the RTR rear bumper on my Bronco and it has some flaws. I'll go over more of those flaws in future videos, but the one for today is that the license plate bracket actually sticks below the rear bumper. So when you're rock crawling or you have a high departure angle obstacle that you need to get over, you can actually hit this license plate bracket, and you can see mine is actually bent. RTR does make it so that you can unbolt this bracket when you off-road, but that's not something that I want to do every time I go off-roading. So in its place, we're going to put the Lobo off-road license plate relocation bracket, which is actually going to replace this logo right here on the tailgate and move it from the bumper to the tailgate. And let's go see what that looks like. All right, so what you're gonna get is a 3D printed license plate bracket. Now this is 3D printed with UV stable material, so this license plate bracket shouldn't fade or become brittle as time goes on, especially in those sunny, hot environments. So you're gonna have this piece, which is the license plate will actually mount to, along with the piece that is gonna replace your Ford emblem on the back of your Bronco. So on the back of these, they're actually notched so that you can adjust where you want your license plate bracket to sit. So if you have, smaller 33s, you can adjust that so it's closer in to the inside of the Bronco. Or if you have large 37s or even bigger, you'll be able to move the license plate out so that it will still be visible. Pretty cool feature. You don't see that on a lot of license plate relocation brackets. And it also comes with a new LED light that should be nice and bright. The included hardware and wiring that you're going to need to rewire up that new light. So let's hop over to the Bronco and start the install. Okay, first things first is we're going to want to deal with this old license plate light, whether it's on an aftermarket rear bumper like this or the factory one, because you're upgrading to a bumper that doesn't have a spot for a license plate, and that would be the reason that you'd want to relocate your license plate up to the tailgate. So good habit is, before you ever start dealing with wiring, is to undo your battery. This way you don't electrocute yourself or damage any electronics in the Bronco. But to unplug the license plate light from the factory location, it's going to be underneath your tail light, up underneath the Bronco, and it is going to be right here. So we're going to go ahead and unplug that guy and any clips that it has going to the license plate location. All right, now I'm going to go ahead and just unbolt this license plate. And just like that, the old license plate is removed. And we're gonna move straight into taking off this factory emblem here on the tailgate. To do so, there is no bolts or anything. It's held in with two clips, one on either side of the Ford emblem, about here and here. So you're gonna need two pry tools to get it off. Basically, you're gonna put them on both sides and pry it off. But before I do that, I'm gonna put a little masking tape around it. This way I don't damage my paint. And all right, once you have the paint all around your emblem masked up, you're just gonna go ahead and get underneath the emblem with the pry tool, one on each side. And you're just gonna go ahead and give it a good pry. There's one, and there goes the second one. All right, there is a little double-sided tape on it, so it may try to fight you coming off a little bit, but it should come right off. You may end up breaking the tabs like I did, but that's okay, because we're not gonna reuse this. Then you're just gonna go ahead and remove your masking tape off as much of this double-sided tape as you can. I'm just gonna go ahead and scrape this off. And once you get this cleaned up to your liking, now note this is going to be covered up right here, so it doesn't have to be 100% perfect. If you're OCD, go for it. I'm not. I don't feel like dealing with that. But you're going to want to go ahead and grab this piece to the license plate bracket, you're going to notice that one of the little tabs is oval and one of the tabs is circle, and that translates to the holes on the Bronco. The inner one is going to be the oval and the outer one's going to be your circle. So you're going to go ahead and just line that up in place like such. The little support tabs will be facing the tail light. You're going to want to go ahead with a Sharpie, or you could actually use this as a drill guide itself. I'm going to go ahead and use a Sharpie technique and just mark the holes for dead center. And I'm going to take that piece off, and now I have two spots that I need to drill. This way we have a place for your bolt and a place to run your wires. So the bolt hole seems to be about a 3/8, and the wire hole, which is going to have this nice little bevel to it, seems to be about a 1/2 inch. So I'm going to go ahead and drill this up to that, but I'm going to start with a smaller drill bit as a pilot drill. It's always a good habit to do. So the bolt hole is actually just a hair larger than 3/8, I think. So I just upsized it just one more, and now the bolt fits through there perfectly. At this point, you're gonna wanna go ahead and deburr it. I'm just gonna use this little rat's tail just to make sure that there's no burrs inside the holes. And once you get your holes deburred, you're going to want to put either a little primer or touch-up paint on those so that you have no possibility of rust in the future. And while we wait for that to dry, you're going to want to go around here and remove all these interior panels on the back of your Bronco. So that's going to be this guy right here. The tabs are at the bottom, so you're going to want to pull the tabs from the bottom and pull it out, because it does have these hook-like fasteners. You don't want to break them. Same deal with this side panel that is closest to the door handle. The clips are on the inside, and the little C-clip type fasteners are going to be on this side. So you're going to want to pull it out and then pull that portion out. You're also going to want to go ahead and take this panel off, this trim panel that's farthest out from your trunk. That just pulls straight up, and you could take that off. If you have a soft top, there's going to be this little bracket right here. You're going to want to go ahead and unbolt that. It is just one little bolt. I already went ahead and undid it, so that's going to come off like such. There's also going to be this panel up here, so you're going to want to go ahead and take your panel tool and just pry up underneath it, and that should pop right out like such. And once you have that off, you're going to want to go around to your passenger side rear door. All right, once you're over at your passenger side rear door, you're going to want to just pull this panel up. You don't need to fully take it off, but you are just going to want to unhinge it from its bottom portion so that it's nice and loose like this. You're also going to want to go ahead and take off this piece. So you're going to want to fold your seats down, and this piece, which also attaches to this little lip, plastic lip in your trunk, you're going to just want to go ahead and grab the corner and just yank on it, and it comes up surprisingly easy. So we're just going to set that off to the side. Now our goal is to take off this entire panel, because that's where we're going to be wiring in the rear license plate light. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to pull this off. All right, so you're going to want to just probably hop up in the back of your Bronco. I'm going to go ahead and just pull this panel off real quick, and then you're just going to pull your panel right off. It may take a little bit of tugging. Just kind of get your hands up underneath it, and it should unpull. You're just going to want to work your way from the top down. If you do have a soft top, you may have some pieces in the way like such right here, so you're just going to want to pull that up from underneath it and just give it another tug. Now you're not going to want to pull it all the way out because you do have your 12 volt and rear trunk light. So once you get it somewhat pulled out, you're going to want to go ahead and unplug these guys, which are going to be right here and here. And once you undo those, you'll just be able to pull the panel completely out and set it off to the side. And once the panel's off, you're going to be looking for this harness right here. It is going to be attached to this wall right here. You're just going to go ahead and undo that harness, and you may want to undo some of these Christmas tree fasteners in the back. This way it gives you just a little bit more slack. And once you get a little bit of slack on it, you're going to be looking for the wire. If I can get it to focus, you're going to be looking for the wire that has the blue. It's going to be a blue wire with a light gray stripe on it. That's going to be the wire that you're going to be splicing into. So you're going to go ahead and just undo this tape here just a little bit so that we can go ahead and splice in with the provided splicing fasteners that Lobo provided. Alright, so I went ahead and spliced in the new extension wire that Lobo Off-Road provided. I ended up not using the provided splicing connectors that Lobo provided. I ended up using these solder connectors. Basically it's solder and heat shrink in one. You can get them on Amazon for pretty cheap. I think they're going to be a better connection, so that's what I went ahead and did. I connected the red power wire to the blue and gray wire on the connector, and the ground to the common ground, which is just up a little bit higher than the connector. Now all you have to do is run the excess over to the new license plate location, and I'm going to do that by running it through this provided cover that Ford is already running their wires through. And to do so, I'm just going to undo the tape and run it through, but you have to undo this little zip tie mount right here. And if you didn't know, you can undo a zip tie with something sharp. So if you just grab something sharp and stick it in there, you can actually undo a zip tie. So I did that. We're going to undo that tape and run the wire through and all the way across over to where the new license plate is going to be located. So I went ahead and got the wire ran through here, and I also ran it across this open panel up top down into this larger cavity. Now you can use the wire cover that Lobo provided right here. I didn't feel it was necessary just because the panel is going back on here anyways, but if you want to, go for it. And now this is a good time to prep the actual license plate bracket. So you're going to want to go ahead and grab the light and attach the quick connect fasteners that Lobo provided to it. I just figured it would probably be easier to do it while it was off the bracket rather than trying to do it while it was on. So now that I got those on, I'm just going to go ahead and screw it on with the provided screws, and then we can go ahead and start mounting the actual bracket itself to the Bronco. Alright, so once you get your license plate bracket pretty much assembled, at this point you're going to want to pick where you want your license plate to be located, either farther in or farther out depending on your setup. I'm going to go somewhere in the middle just because I think it's going to look best for my setup. And once you have that, you're going to want to go ahead and put in the provided bolt through the smaller hole, which is going to be the hole to the right. And then you're probably going to need a magnet to get the nut on. I'll show you in a second, but Ford glued in this plastic bracket right behind where this logo is, so it's a little hard to get a wrench down in there to get this started. So you're going to want to use a magnet, and then you'll be able to get an open end wrench in there to tighten it up. So let's go ahead and do that. So you're going to want to take your nut on a magnet and fish it right down in here until you see it come in contact with the nut. Okay, so when you're tightening this down, you're not going to want to tighten it down an absolute ton. This is just plastic, 3D printed plastic. So you're just going to want to cinch it down hand tight, and that should do the trick. I wouldn't, cinch this down with, a million foot-pounds. And once you get that all cinched down, you're just going to take that excess wire that you ran through earlier, and you're going to feed it through the little hole that you drilled earlier. And you're going to just pull out all the slack. And okay, once you get the wire all pulled through, you're going to go ahead and cut off the excess that you don't need. Be sure to leave a little bit of slack, this way you can still adjust the license plate side to side if you ever need to in the future. But then you're just going to go ahead and put on the other side of these connectors and plug it all in. So let's go ahead and do that. And then you're just going to go ahead and connect red to red and black to black. And then we're going to tuck them up out of the way up here, and that should do it. And once you got them all connected, you're going to want to go over here, turn your Bronco into auxiliary, and turn your lights on to see if it worked before you start putting everything back together. And look at that, we have light. So perfect. I'm going to go ahead and put the rest of this back together, and let's do that. And just like that, everything is put back together in the opposite order that we took it apart. And I also went ahead and put the license plate on. Now, I think this is going to be a great solution for anyone that's looking for the maximum amount of clearance and lightweight, because this thing is super light. I mean, it's just made out of plastic. Other companies do make brackets that go in this location, but two things. One, they're made out of steel, so they're going to be super heavy compared to this. That, and they're not adjustable, so you're not going to be able to adjust them to the tire size that you have. So ultimately, I think this is probably one of the best solutions out there, at least for as far as this location goes. And honestly, the relocation brackets that go up here on the spare tire, that just sounds like a pain. I mean, if you're ever in a scenario where you get a flat tire, you're just gonna have to take apart that many more things to get your spare tire off, and chances are you're already gonna be frustrated, so you're not gonna want to go through with that. So I think this is a much better option. But hey guys, if you guys want to see more cool install videos like this, let me know, and leave a comment below. But with that being said, leave a like, subscribe, and we'll catch you at the next waypoint.
Wow.